Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Autohrycfix. For those first-time viewers, I'll give you a little background about myself. Um, I used to be a mechanic for Honda for many years, about 15 years, and then I moved up and I became a body shop estimator and then a director. And now we're here teaching you guys a few things how to fix your cars. And so we're doing our restoration of my 1997 Honda Civic, and so far what we have done is we have repaired the brake lines, we have bled the system and verified the brakes. Last episode you saw that I removed the crossmember, and today we're going to be reinstalling the new one. And also, when we were removing the old crossmember, there was a few things that I noticed that needed to be fixed at the same time. So I will be showing you guys that as well. So let's go ahead and let's get started. All right. So before we install the new used crossmember, when I was removing the old one, I noticed that my CV joint boot is ripped. So what we're going to go ahead and do, and today is, as an added bonus, is I'm going to show you guys how to remove the CV joint. All right. There will be a few tools that you'll need. A large 32 socket to remove the front nut, and then a plier, a large pry bar to remove the drive shaft from the transmission. But I'll leave a list of all the tools that I used in the description down below. If not, you can always go to my website, autohrycfix.com, and there I usually list all the tools that I've used in all my videos. All right, so let's go ahead and do this. So what I went and did right there was I removed the nut from the drive shaft using a 32 millimeter socket, and then I just removed it. If it would have been jammed, I would just take my hammer and tap it a little bit on the drive shaft to remove it from the splices out of the knuckle of the car. So now we're just going to go ahead and use a long pry bar, and we're just going to pop it between the transmission and the drive shaft. I'm going to go ahead and show you that, but just be careful because there is a seal that's around the transmission where the drive shaft goes into. Be careful not to damage that, because if you damage it, it might cause a leak. So you just got to be careful. So we're going to go ahead and remove that part. So as you can see right there, what we're going to do is we're just going to put the pry bar between, and I'm going to pop it outwards. I'm just going to gently just pop it out like that. And it's always good to put a rag underneath sometimes, because you might have a little bit of oil that will come out when you do that. Usually it's not a lot. And then you just gotta wiggle it out. And don't worry, it's okay that it's leaking, because we're going to be changing the transmission fluid at the same time. Alright, so there you have it. We have our drive shaft out. Alright, so there we have it. We removed the drive shaft from the car. Some good luck, and a lot of mechanics will appreciate this. Knowing those, when you keep your parts and you're like, maybe I'm going to use it one day, I don't know, you never know, why should I throw it out? Well, that comes in handy. I had one spare in my shed many years ago that I kept it, and I had another Civic that I was getting rid of. So there you go. It's always good to keep some parts, not all, but some parts. Today is our lucky day, so we're just going to go ahead and install the new drive shaft. Same way as we removed it, we're just going to carefully slide it into the hole. Make sure that you don't touch that rubber seal, and then afterwards we're just going to knock it in. And once you knock it in and it gets in place, you'll hear the noise. Sound changes. All right, so let's go ahead and reinstall this part. All right, so now that the drive shaft's in, I use the impact gun to tighten the bolt. One last step to do, and make sure you don't forget this, is that you have to lock the nut on the drive shaft. There's a little notch at the end of the drive shaft. You just got to get your hammer and a little chisel and just tap it in. And there you have it. So now you know the nut is locked to the drive shaft, and there's no way that it can come loose. All right, so now we're just gonna go ahead and install our brand new used cross member. So I'll go ahead and do that. I'll speed it up a little bit because it's basically the same way that we removed it. I'll just go ahead and reinstall it. But after installing it in place, there's a few other things that need to be done, and so I'll show you that in a few minutes. All right, so basically what I'm going to do is I use my floor jack to put underneath the cross member. I'm going to raise it up and bolt it into place. After that, I'm going to install the lower ball joints on the lower tables and the forks. So we're going to go ahead and do that. All right, so as you guys can see, everything is tightened up down here underneath the car. We have our cross member installed. So I put 2 new spring bolts for the exhaust. The donut was still good, so I didn't need to replace the gasket. And we tightened everything else up, installed the exhaust in the back, and I also installed new cutter pins in the lower ball joints and in the tie rods. So now we're going to go up on top and just finish up installing by putting oil into the system, and then we'll go in the car, reattach the steering column to the rack and pinion, and I'll show you guys how to bleed the system. All right, so up top I got some Honda power steering fluid there. We just got to add it into the reservoir. I filled it up to the upper level because we're going to be bleeding the system. Before that, I just reinstalled the high pressure line. I routed it back into its proper route. And in the back, I reinstalled the engine support, as you can see down there. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to reattach the rack and pinion to the steering column. I know we removed the rack and pinion, so what we're gonna do is do like a pre-alignment. We're gonna install the wheels just temporarily. We're gonna even them out, kind of like so they're facing forward, and then we'll go in and we'll put the column back into the rack and pinion. All right, so I already went ahead and I installed the other tire on the other side. We're just gonna take this one here. I just lightly tightened my tie rod so that they wouldn't be loose. We're gonna install the wheel. Just gonna use 2 nuts for now because we're gonna be taking the tire off anyway afterwards. And what we're going to do is we're going to try and make the tires face as forward as possible. I know there's other ways you can do it by using with string, but I'm going to get the car aligned anyway. So I know from the years that I've had experience, you just got to put the wheels as straight as you can forward, and then so we can just properly get the column back into the rack. So as I can see, it's pretty straight. Same thing here. And what you're going to want to do also is go look at the other side as well to make sure that it's straight as well. If there is a little bit off, You can always just adjust your tie rod a little bit to make it straighter, but you can also do that later on as well. All right, so now we're just going to go into the car. We're going to reattach the rack and pinion to the steering column. All right, so now what we're going to be doing is going to be reinstalling the yoke to the rack. Making sure that the steering wheel is straight, because we've already taped it or we marked it way before when we first started taking everything out. It should slide right into the proper slices. And also we had a little mark that I made on the shaft of the rack and pinion. So we're just going to slide it in, tighten everything up, and then we're going to start the car, and I'll show you how to get the air out of the system. So now that we have attached everything inside, we're going to reconnect our battery. We made sure that the fluid is at the upper level, and we're going to start the car. And then I will show you guys how to bleed the system. All right, so now we're in the car, and we are just going to start it up. Make sure it's in park, handbrake up. And we're gonna just turn the wheel all the way to the left, all the way to the right, a couple of times. And by doing this, the pump will circulate the fluid and the air will come out of the reservoir. So the car is running, and what we've got to just check is inside the reservoir here that there's no more bubbles. If there was air in the system, they would all bubble up and then maybe even cause like a foam that would come up. But because of the fact that we already pre-primed by turning the wheels before the car was started, some of the oil was already in the rack. So that's a good indication that there's no more oil. And also there would be like a hissing noise that would be coming from the power steering pump. But we're all good. All right, so we did it. There you have it. We removed and we replaced the cross member. At the same time, I taught you guys a little bit about how to bleed the system when we had to reattach the rack and pinion. We're very lucky, as that is bonus. We replaced the drive shaft on the right hand side. We're very lucky that we had one in the shed. So we can go ahead and remove this from our to-do list. So next step is going to be a little bit of regular maintenance. We're just going to be changing the oil in the transmission, the engine. We'll be checking the spark plugs and the cap and the rotor. We're closer and closer each time to getting this car back on the road. So if you guys like this type of content, please like, share, and subscribe, and follow, and we'll see you guys on the next one. All right, bye.